Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm just going to do this quick demo, I guess, of how I use the BareMinerals Original Powder Foundation to be my foundation and cover my acne scars and my acne. I have a lot of texture and hyperpigmentation, some memories of good times past on my face, pretty much there forever. So I find that using powder foundation over liquid foundation works a lot better. Just with texture, I feel like liquid foundation is good for maybe discoloration, but for bumps and unevenness on the surface, I think that powder foundation does a great job of that. I feel like the sense of powder foundation is just that it's very fast and easy. So all you're gonna need for this is the powder foundation of your choice. I'm using the BareMinerals Original Loose Foundation, a mist. Today I have the MAC Fix Plus, but you could also use the Smashbox primer water. I also really like the Wet n Wild mist that comes in cucumber, rose, and another scent that I can't remember. And then the tool of application, so just any flat-topped brush like this. It doesn't even need to be flat-topped. It could even have a little bit of a dome to it, but it needs to be balanced between dense and flexible enough to move across your skin but hold that powder. Before I start, here's a close-up of my skin. It's something without foundation, and I didn't use a primer. I kind of maybe have a silicone-y feeling base because I used the Supergoop Unseen sunscreen as my sunscreen today, and that feels very slippy and silicone-y. You could use this with a silicone primer or a moisturizing or hydrating primer. So the secret for powder foundation not to look powdery is to not use a lot of powder. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So my little filter is open. I don't really close it between uses, so there's too much powder even in the lid. So I'm just going to close this and kind of tap it off, get as much off the lid as I can. And then there's still too much, so I'm just going to do this and get most of it off. So here's what's left in the lid, and that is what I'm going to use as my first layer. So this cap looks brown. Not all of that is new powder because I use this cap to buff the powder into my brush a lot. So it's just the new texture. That is how much powder I have in the cap. So the slogan for BareMinerals foundation is swirl, tap, buff. So I'm just going to swirl, tap, and buff that into my skin. First I kind of tap for where I want it and then distribute it some more. I like to do one half of my face at a time just to kind of, I guess, focus and energy. The secret for powder foundation is that even though it's a powder, the more you blend it, the more it blends with the natural moisture and oils from your face, and it kind of turns into a cream foundation. But you need to work with it long enough for it to have the chance to go through that process. So there's one layer of that. And now I'm just going to go in with the other half of my face. About this much powder for the other half. Swirl. Swirl again. Tap and buff. And with powder foundation, it's much better to do light, thin layers like this and then build up if you need to, because if you go in with too much powder at once, it's gonna look powdery and your skin's just not gonna have the chance to do that slow process of melding with its own oils. So there is one layer of that foundation, and a lot of times I'll just kind of finish at this because even full coverage foundations can't handle all my discoloration, but the aim of this is just to kind of even things out a little bit. For demonstrations purposes, I will go in with another thin layer on each side so you can see what a second layer built up would be. And this is how much foundation I'm using for the next layer. Swirl, tap, and buff. And I'm concentrating this more on my cheeks because that's what you can actually see is not covered. So with this second layer, I can see that it's already looking a little bit more powdery, but we can fix that with the MAC Fix Plus or whatever setting spray you're using. And a little bit more for the other half of my face. So about that much powder. If you want to use concealer, you have to do that before you go in with a powder foundation because a liquid concealer is not going to blend very well over this. When I use powder foundation, I'm usually going for a fairly natural look anyway, so I don't really bother with concealer. which is also a reason why I'm okay with my blemishes showing through my foundation. So here is a base of 2 layers of that powder foundation, and obviously this is where I'm going to stop. I'm not going to build it up anymore. If there is a little bit of powderiness, which maybe there is just right in this area, what I do, or no matter what, even if there isn't powderiness, I take a setting spray. So what the setting spray does is add moisture to that powder, and when you add water to powder, it's not going to really be like powder anymore. So I generally do 3 sprays, which is not a crazy amount. I'm not someone who like soaks my face in setting spray, but it does the job to cover everything. That already looks so much better, more natural and glowy. I want to mention that it takes away a lot of the redness, but this is not going to take away like dark spots like I have. I'd have to go in with like Tarte Shape Tape or something to do that, so I'm not expecting this powder foundation to do the same thing as Tarte Shape Tape. It takes away a lot of the discoloration in terms of redness, and so what's left is a little bit of discoloration of hyperpigmentation, which is just difference in depth of color, which needs a little bit more work and care if you want to completely correct that. But for daily use, this is fine for me. I'm comfortable going to work like this. I'm comfortable seeing friends like this. Now I'm going to go in and just add some bronzer, blush, highlight, and I'll be back. And here I am with some very subtle sculpting. I use the Kevyn Aucoin Neo bronzer in the shade Capri, so it comes with like a bronzer, blush, highlighter in one, and it has a very soft, natural looking finish, which is why I picked it for this look today. I just wanted to make this video because maybe this is like a useless video, pretty self-explanatory and unnecessary, but in the YouTube sphere, powder foundation doesn't really get a lot of love or use. I mostly see people using liquid foundation, which is fine because that's what is mostly on the market, but I think that powder foundation has a place, and a lot of times in the morning I actually reach for powder foundation because it seems less messy to me than liquid foundation, because with liquid foundation it's liquid, so it's like running places, you have to wet a beauty blender, the brush gets like wet with foundation, and with powder foundation it just kind of feels a little bit less, or a little bit more no fuss, a little bit less fuss. Yeah. Oh, I never mentioned that the shade I use is Golden Ivory 07, which is light with yellow undertones, or golden undertones, which is what I am. The BareMinerals foundation is $32 original price, but I have never paid $32 for this because I find it a lot at TJ Maxx or Marshalls once they open back up. I'm sure you'll be able to find some there too. And that's all, a pretty simple video today. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I could entertain you for a few minutes today. I hope y'all have a good one. Remember that y'all are my treasure. Find the beauty in every day, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!